Hello everyone. Okay, I am going to go ahead today and do the Ponte Lima and the Vienna Du Costello. They were headed to the Lima Bridge in my last video, and I, we spoke of where they were at. They were at the ancient city. They heard, or Ian, I believe it's Ian that is doing the documenting here. He said that he heard rumors that the bridge wasn't open, so he walked ahead to make sure that it was open and that they could have a safe crossing, and come to find out, of course, it was open. But even back then, I guess rumors just get spread. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and prove that the next part of the map is Vienna Du Costello and Ponte Lima, and the Lima Bridge, where they're at. And once they leave there, then we're going to cross over into Spain, and that should be Galicia, Spain. But anyway, like I say all the time, make sure you click that link. You click that link. That way you can follow along with me. And if you have a problem with following along and watching the link and everything, then you can always just listen and then go back and see exactly what it was that I'm talking about. But I got some really interesting stuff to show you, and some things that I discovered in Vienna Du Costello, which is the ancient city. So we'll go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to notice is the part of the map which I show you Alfama, and I point up to Alfama so you can see the candle. And then we're going to go down and you have Vienna Du Costello. Then you have, I think it's pronounced Canta di Santa Luisa. Santa Luisa. It's the ancient city. And of course, you know me and my links. I've got links where you can read about the ancient city and see pictures of the wreckage, not wreckage, but the remains of what it looks like today. Then we got the Lima River, the Lima Bridge, Ponte Lima, and the Roman Colosseum and Alfama. So let's go ahead and get started. This is interesting. I got some really good stuff. Okay. After a long and difficult process of restoring and identifying the remains, there is a new museum in Lisbon. The Roman Theatre, part of the Museum de Lisboa. It shows the city as never seen before, the south side of the castle hill. It is possible to visit the theater, which consists of Roman ruins discovered under the rubble of the great earthquake in 1755. Built in the year of Emperor Augustus, it was abandoned in the 4th century AD and remained buried until 1798. Nowadays, you can see the identifiable stage, orchestra, and many of the seats. Enjoy a unique experience and a journey back through the centuries amid the streets of Alfama. Okay, now we know that they were going through Alfama. They've said that in their documenting that they were going to Alfama. They hit Portside in Lisbon. They were going to Alfama, and then they were going to hook up with the Santiago De Compostela, or the Portuguese way, actually, out of Portugal, and then into Spain, and go the Santiago way to Santiago de Compostela. They were headed to the church where St. James is buried, because they already made reference to that and said that they can't wait to see it. So this is what I uncovered in the things that are highlighted in yellow is what I uncovered. Only one reason Romans used this long ago: they were cold-blooded people. It is now a damaged city of stone, a building on the ground that is nothing more than wreckage. Of course, be that it may, in exchange for bloodstains, we are able to elude via the Lima Bridge. Ancient civilians who lived in darkness shed our light. We will be crossing soon. Now, the Romans were responsible for the Lima Bridge. That's the only reason that the Lima Bridge is there. And I've got some more interesting facts on that once we get to the Lima Bridge. But the Romans were responsible for the construction of the Lima Bridge and the construction of the roads. Have you ever heard that saying, all roads lead to Rome? You know, I mean, they were very adamant about their ways of travel. They had to find a way, quick, easy access, because that's the only way they can control and conquer. They wanted roads to every city, to every town that they could. So a lot of their time was spent building roads and bridges and all of this. But he's showing gratitude here by saying, even though the Colosseum, or the amphitheater is what it's actually called, but it's a Colosseum. They call it the amphitheater in Lisbon, Alfama, Lisbon. But the only reason that he's showing gratitude is because of them. They're allowed to do their job and to get their what they're set out to do, what they plan to do. It's because of them that they're allowed to get this done, because if it wasn't for the bridge, they'd never cross the Lima. And wait until you see, I've got some pictures of it, how long this bridge is, how wide that river is, and why the Romans built it. It's pretty amazing story. But anyway, if you look at the first picture, the first picture is the part of the map where it goes into Vienna Du Costello and Ponte Lima, but it's at the very beginning, right under Alfama. And it's the picture of the Colosseum. Now, the Colosseum, I believe this is what he's talking about, because right above it is where he explains, even though, you know, they were hardcore people, you know, they used the Colosseums and the amphitheaters uh, for battles and gore and all of that. Romans, I didn't realize they were so brutal. I really didn't. I looked it up when I was looking up this information, and I heard some things that they did, and read some things that they did, and it was pretty scary. But anyway, the amphitheater in Alfama, Lisbon. You have to go through this or pass by it in order to get to Vienna Du Costello. So if you look at it, look really close, and those blue arch shapes, I believe those are the windows. Right next to it is a picture of a Colosseum that is in France. It's not the one that's in Lisbon, but all Colosseums were built the same back then. It was a very identifiable building, a very identified place, you know, they would know about. Everyone would know about it. Everybody did know about it, especially back in the Roman times. But it held a lot of people, and it had like 3 stories or 2 stories, and then it had the arena right in the center. And if you really look at the first depiction, the one that's in the map in the Voynich manuscript, it really does display the Colosseum effect with the windows and the arena right there in the center. I'm not for sure on the outside if those are seats, because they kind of look like seats, or it just might be a decoration or whatever. But this is definitely the Colosseum that they're talking about, and it is in Alfama, Lisbon, which they had to go through. They went to Alfama in order to meet with the hierarchy. Now, the last picture that's on here is basically what it looks like today. The ruins are, I mean, it was dust, and then it said it had an earthquake in 1700 and something that destroyed what was left of the building. Now, you think this this Colosseum was built back in 3 AD or 4 AD, so it's ancient Rome. You know, ancient Romans built it, so it's been there for a while. Luckily, they still have some now. So in 1452, the way that he describes it, when he says that a building on the ground, it's just a damaged city of stone, is what he's saying, and a building on the ground that is nothing more than wreckage. And then he goes, of course, be that as it may, it's because of them that we're allowed to elude and get away, because they're going to be crossing the Lima Bridge. And as I said, they were responsible. The Romans were responsible for the building of the bridge. Exciting, huh? Okay, now Viana Du Costello. Viana Du Costello is a municipality and seat of the district of Viana Du Costello in the Norte region of Portugal. The population in 2011 was 88,725 in the area of 319 0.2 kilometers. Now that's actually a pretty good size distance, because I found some kilometer readings in something they hid, and we're going to get to that. So 319 that's, for that little municipality there. And then, of course, me and my links, I got a link so you can check out Vienna Du Costello when it was, what the main attractions are in it, when it was founded, and where it's a part of. But just behind the sanctuary, you'll find another landmark, the Cieta di Santa Luisa. Similar to the one in Guimarães, these ruins belong to a Celtic village. A boardwalk leads the way through the historic fortified settlement dating back to the 4th century BC. Its privileged location above a mountain made it possible for residents to surveil the Lima estuary below. Okay, now, above a mountain, that's why, the hills, that's why he was talking about the hills. He went by way of hillside. And Portugal, Lisbon is built on what they call 7 hills. So that's another thing that's pretty cool, by way of the mountain. But okay, now if you look at the buildings, the cylindrical buildings, if you notice the map where I have Vienna Du Costello, you got the long cylindrical buildings there. Okay, now this second picture right next to it, this is the ancient Celtic city, and their buildings were cylindrical. Unlike most other ancient ruins, this one had buildings that were tubular, and some of them were as high as 20 to 22 feet high. What they were used for, I don't think anybody really knows. They could have been used to hold water, they could have been used to hold feed, maybe some housed in it. They don't appear very big, so I don't know about, how comfortable they were living in one of them, but they were definitely used for something. Some buildings still remain today. And of course, I've got links to where you can go and you can look at the ancient city. But look at the ancient city, the long tubes. People were saying that these were water pipes. They could have been water sheds or water storage, but I don't believe that they're water pipes, because they are very adamant when I read to you what's going on, that I uncovered, that this is the ancient city next to the Lima River, which it is by the Lima River that runs through the Lima River, that runs through Ponte Lima, and then over into Galicia, Spain. But this is the pilgrimage. This is a picture of the buildings in Vienna Du Costello, and then the one right next to it is nowadays is what the ancient city looks like. And then the next picture I have is showing you the long cylindrical buildings with the Cieta di Santa Luisa in Vienna Du Costello and the Lima River. But this is what they said. Now, this is amazing, okay? It says, marked in single containers to leave less search and look concealed. They are in the vessels with pigmented centers by Lima waters. In the ancient city, all blacked out. May 1452. Okay, now that's what I uncovered. Look at the blacked out centers of the cylindrical buildings. Do you see them? I marked them as, now I don't know if this is what they meant, north, south, east, and west, or whatever, but placement, the way they were, so you would understand what it is that I'm showing you. I didn't get all of them, and I need to double check what I did find. But I'm pretty sure I'm close. I'm pretty sure I'm close. That's why I'm going ahead and showing you. But anyway, go down to the next group of pictures, and you see I've got northeast, south, and west by the tubes there, the containers, or the blackout centers. Now the second one is I lightened it up so you can see the symbols above it and the symbols below this other one. That's where I got the information where they said that where they hit him. That's where I got the information at, where they said they hit him. So I blew them up. And inside the container one, which is in the south position, we have south 5.332 kilometers, which is 3.3131512 miles. I'm just going to say 3.3 miles. So that reading is south 3.3 miles. Container 2, which is in the west position, says north 3.586 kilometers, which is 2.2 miles, or it's north 35.86 kilometers, which is 22 miles. I'm iffy on that one because I really can't see the point in it. And then again, I don't know what they're measuring. I haven't found out yet because I haven't done the outside circle of Lima. Of Ponte Lima and around the amphitheater. I haven't done all of that. That takes so much time. I'm just doing the basic landmarks right now and showing you that this is where they say they are, and then I'm just bringing out proof that way. The story is going to continue. It's going to be a great saga, but that definitely will take time. Like part 2 of Portugal. I'm still working on that, as well as page 2 of the Voynich manuscript. So to keep you guys interested and to keep new information coming, I want to go through the map so I can prove what it is that I'm talking about, so people will understand that this map is their footprints they're leaving behind, is their trek they made to hide the Ark of the Covenant and going through the Pilgrim's Way so they will not be disturbed and will not be bothered, because back then they didn't bother them. There was too much money coming into the kingdoms, and the proprietors and all of that were making a lot of money off of these, and it was a spiritual thing. So even most kings had soft spots for spiritual guidance and all of that. So they left them alone, and they were told to leave them alone and just let them do what they did. And that's why the pilgrimage became so popular, because they never were questioned. They didn't have any problems. So it was very intelligent and very smart of them to find a way to, do what they had to do and hide it and open and do it in the open. Very good. Very, very good. Well, anyway, the next thing after you look, and then of container 3, the north position is east 25.825 kilometers, which is 16 miles, and northwest 8.2, which equals 5.1 miles. So I don't know exactly what it is that they're giving directions to, and I probably won't know that until after I do the outside of the circled map, because I'm sure there's a lot of information contained in there. A lot. But it just takes so long. It takes so... not that I'm complaining. I love it. I absolutely love it, especially when I uncover something and I can verifiably prove it historically. I love the fact that that happens, but it just definitely takes... I can do in one sitting for like 5 hours. 5 hours, I can decode 5 to 6 symbols. 5 to 6 symbols. You got to remember, each symbol holds words up to 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 words per symbol. You've got to blow them up and look and see where they join. If they overextend, then the word stops. If they don't and they continue joining, then you just keep following until you see where they split off. It's so hard to explain. It really is. I wish I could explain it better, but it just takes a while because you got to look at it with a magnifying glass. And that's why it was so important that I believe that Roger Bacon gave them the materials, not so much the paper, but the instruments that they needed in exchange for teaching of their knowledge and their language, because he was so passionate about the Hebrew language. And I believe that there was a trade-off of knowledge for knowledge there, and that's why his name was connected to the manuscript, because I believe it was intentionally thrown onto the manuscript, because that way they knew it wouldn't get destroyed, because he became highly sought after, especially in those days. Anything that was for Roger Bacon. That's why King Rudolph bought the book. Okay, now Ponte Lima, I've got links there where you can go and read up on Ponte Lima and all that. Ponte Lima is located on the southern bank of the Lima, a small river which sources in Spain. Okay, they say small river. Well, actually, I guess it would be a small river wait till you see the bridge. I can understand why they made a bridge, or why the Romans. And there's a really unique story about the Romans and why they built that bridge across that river, which I'm getting to. Okay, it's one of the oldest towns in Portugal, founded on March 4th, 1125. It was historically significant as a Roman settlement on the road from Braga to Santiago de Compostela and Lugo, and is the first place in Portugal getting a municipal charter. The Ponte Lima, or the Ponte Romana, and the Ponte Medieval Bridge. The most famous attraction of Ponte Lima is the bridge that spans the Lima River. There are actually two sections of this bridge, the Ponte Romana and the Ponte Medieval. The Ponte Romana is the much older bridge, being constructed by the Romans in the 1st century. Okay, now this bridge has slowly but surely weathered and deteriorated, and the parts that are left now are the parts that are on the ground that aren't in the water. You stop and think, 1st century, that's over 2,000 years ago. This thing would do it, but they admired so much, that it was a landmark. They fixed it. They continued to fix it. Now, if you look at the picture of the bridge, the first one is a picture of the bridge showing the arches, the way that the bridge is. The second one is the bridge running from Lima to Galicia, Spain, in the Voynich manuscript on the 6-page folio spread. You can see clearly how it goes over water. The Lima River is on the water that's it's crossing, and also the Lima River is up by the ancient city too, and that's what they said, by the Lima waters. So the Lima River is here. The bridge goes from here over into Galicia, Spain. Now look at the last picture. This is the bridge crossing the river. Look at how long that bridge is. I mean, I've seen longer, but to build a bridge that long in that time and air, I mean, I wonder if the river has expanded and grown. Probably has. Maybe that's why they had to add to it, because it did. I left lines, not lines, but I left links for you to check and see what it is that I'm talking about when I say that, I'm talking about Ponte Lima and the bridge. It gives you the stories about the construction of it and all that stuff. But during the Roman rule of Portugal, they believed that the Rio Lima was the fabled Lethe River, one of the underworld rivers of Hades. They feared that anyone who entered the river would lose their mind to oblivion. General Decimus Junius Brutus, that's quite a tough name, was forced to test this superstition in 138 BC. During a campaign into northern Spain, he crossed first on his horse and then had his men shout their names out as they waded through the water so no one would lose their mind to oblivion. I mean, everybody has everybody has superstitions, and even back then it doesn't change. It's just the way that the mind works. But believing that this river was a river of Hades, which also made me believe that they believed in the devil and the Greek mythology of Hades and all of them as being bad. uh they call out the name while you're crossing, so you would be concentrating on something else and not concentrating on the fact that you're crossing the river of hell, basically. So this is why the bridge was constructed across the river to begin with, because they wanted to be able to get back and forth to Spain and have an easy access and have a way without being concerned. So the Romans built that, and I of course have a link where you can go and you can check that out, because it's really interesting, some of the stories that they tell you. But go back to the pictures again. Now, if you look at the Lima Bridge, and then you look at the crossing from Ponte Lima into Galicia, Spain, it shows that it swerves, but I think that they did that intentionally because they didn't want to just have a straight line, because they'd be like, that's a bridge. But when it swerves this way, it kind of just looks like a passage, or maybe water, rippling water. But and then the last look at the bridge and how long it is, and this is what they had to walk across. This has held so many people walking across, going the Portuguese way, getting to St. James so they can go and hit Santiago de Compostela. And the directions up on the village, or in the houses of, or the cylindrical buildings there of the ancient city, where he said he marked them with single containers to leave less time to search. So he let them know that they're inside the containers all blacked out. They're still concealed, but I don't want you to have to search for them. I'm letting you know where they're at. What these go to, I don't know. I'm not really for sure yet. And this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that once I'm for sure, I've got a new method that I'm trying, and I'm going to, it's a theory. I love theories. But I believe I may have found a way through light source manipulation of how I can read this paper, the maps, and any paper actually, to make things that are hidden stand out more, to be more prominent. And I'm going to be testing that out in the next couple of weeks. I'm just waiting on some equipment and all that. And of course, I'm still working on my space to get my office space set up so I can have everything to where it could be so much easier for me to explain it. And as I said before, even though we won't need the links when I'm done, and I do that, I still want to send a link for a PDF so you can have it, and have a hard copy of it, as we're going through the map and all that. But what I want to do is, once I'm satisfied with what's inside the containers, and I think that I've got it right, I'm like 85% right now. That's pretty good, but I want to be 100%, if not 110. I want to find the coordinates of where this ancient city is, and which shouldn't be that hard to do. I just have to go to Vienna Du Costello and the ancient city that's there, Santa Luis or whatever the ancient city is, and it should give you the altitude, latitude, and coordinates of where it's at. And then from those coordinates, I want to travel these coordinates and see where it hits, if that's possible. And of course, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go and do around Ponte Lima and Viana Du Costello, the writing, to see if they give you any clue of what they're hiding in there, because the way he's speaking, he says he marked in single containers to have less search and look concealed. So it's something that they were needing when they were reading for some reason. And why would they have the coordinates and do the kilometers or the kilometers or whatever it is, instead of longitude and latitude? But then again, I believe there is a longitude reading. I haven't done, if you look, you can see in the east, okay, if we're doing the north, south, east, and west, in the east, if you blow it up, there's like 2.4 something or 2, let's see if I can, oh wow, you can blow it up pretty good size. Okay, so, yeah, oh, it says 2.5, or it could turn, and if it turns, then it would read north. It would be N. North 12.7, something like that. Yeah, pretty interesting. Blow it up and look. Take a look at it. Take a look at it. If you can screenshot it, or use your scissors, you know, and then chop it out and then look at it where you can rotate it and see. Because some of them I couldn't get until I, now see, that one says the center. I didn't do the center either. I didn't do the center. Haven't done that one yet. But I'm going to get to it. I just wanted basically to show you what I found in the ancient cities, because they said it was within the black in the black centers, still concealed, but I'm letting you know so you don't have to search for it too hard. Now, they knew to read this with lights, because lighting it up is the way that I'm finding out what the coordinates are, or what's inside the circles anyway. And of course with my magnifying glass, because visually you can look at it, but you can't really see. And the symbols that are above it, the center, you can clearly see. You can plainly see the symbols in the center. It's those and the symbols underneath the south building that told me the story of where they hid it. So, I mean, visually, it's right there for them to see. I hid them inside the centers, blackened out, all blacked out, to give you less time to search, so you won't have to search for them. So what the coordinates are, I'm not for sure, but I will find out. I will find out. All I know is they're definitely got some hiding in there. Now, if you want to take a look, please take a look with a magnifying glass. I'm telling you, you have to have a magnifying glass. And don't blow it up so big, because then everything becomes distorted. But if you blow it up to where you can see them, then use a magnifying glass. You can clearly see the differential light sources that are there. You know, the darkness and the shades and all of that. But if you get something different than me, then just let me know. Just let me know what it is. Or even if you figure it out. You figure it out yourself. Because really, I'm just getting a story out there. If somebody finds it, or somebody finds out where that coordination is, or coordination, where the coordinates meet from that ancient city, if that's what they're doing, if they're giving coordinates from where they're at, maybe that's what the center is, the coordinates for the city. I don't know. I haven't gotten to it yet. That center one is definitely more distorted than the other ones, so that one's been really tough. I've got the east and the center left to do, so that is definitely going to be a fun engagement of what's going on. But anyway, we have done Navarre, we have done Portugal, we have done, well, this is still Portugal, but it's Vienna Du Costello and it's Ponte Lima. We have done we have done them, and we're getting ready to cross over into Spain. Now, my theory is they went from Navarre to Portugal to Ponte Lima, Vienna Du Costello. Now, in my last video, they were at the ancient city, and it was the first time they ever mentioned the Ark, because they didn't have the book and the Ark together. They kept groups separated. So the ones that were behind them, if they heard of any trouble or any problems, they would turn around and they would find a way to get to him and let him know there's trouble brewing. Rumors have it that there's trouble going, trouble on, like get the Ark hid or whatever. And I'm sure that they had a backup plan. I'm sure they did. They would not just go out in the open like that and not have a backup plan. They would have something to where they can do it. That's why they were so meticulous about their charting, their, the way they were going. They're very passionate. And even with his charting, when he talked about the Colosseum, they passed by. It was just another landmark. But he said, be that as it may, even though they had such a horrible past and they were gory people, and you all know what the Romans did in those Colosseums and those amphitheaters. They were really sick. They were very morbid people. They were brilliant, but they were morbid. And this is what Ian was saying, or I'm going to say it's Ian. I don't know. They haven't told me who's charting. I haven't found anywhere who's charting, but I'm assuming it is, because Ian is the one speaking in the beginning. So maybe it is Ian. I don't know. I wish I knew for sure. But anyway, right now I'm just going to say Ian. But this is why Ian is so passionate about his charting. He didn't have to say that, about the Romans, but he was relieved and he was grateful, even though it was such a horrific, dark culture that got them, like he said, poetically. They lived in the darkness. Those who were from the darkness shed our light. And he said he would be passing soon. So he went over to the Lima Bridge, and he was thankful for the Romans building that bridge. Now, definitely go back and check the links I have for the Lima Bridge, because there is some really interesting stories, like that one about them thinking that the river was the other river for Hades, one of the rivers for Hades. Just imagine their stress, but imagine what they had to go through to build this bridge. They were masterful when it come to building their buildings, their Colosseums, their roads, their bridges. They wanted a way to make sure, I'm sorry, I just kicked my table. They wanted to make sure they had a way to get everywhere they needed to go, and they can have that control, because if they had the roads, they can get there a heck of a lot quicker. And maybe you ought to look up, maybe I think I'm going to, all roads lead to Rome. I'm going to look up and see how that started. But I believe it's because I've heard that it's because the Romans and the Roman road, the Romans built a lot of roads all the time. They were just building roads from here to there. You name it. They had roads everywhere. They were responsible for daggone mostly all the roads in the ancient times. So, where the Romans occupied anyway. But go back and look at all these pictures, and especially for the one that gets me the most is the ancient city in Vienna Du Costello, where they have the hidden coordinates inside the cylindrical buildings. Now, this they claimed is the ancient city near the Lima waters, which are near the Lima River, is near the Lima River. They actually called it the Limine. It's the Limine waters or river, which is, I think, Spanish. I think it's Spanish for the Lima River. But then look at the round cylindrical ruins that are left today. And then the description of them saying that some of these buildings were as high as 22 feet tall. I mean, they're round and long, tubular, just exactly like they got written here or drawn here. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. I know what they're saying. I can read what they're saying. It just takes time. Although no one believes it, and some people can actually look at me and look at my videos and think that I'm such a nutcase, you know, but I believe what I'm pulling out. I believe what I'm pulling out. And the words are giving me a story with verifiable historical evidence. So if I'm not right, then why am I pinpointing everything? That's what I keep telling people. But I don't care about them. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I really don't. There's a story that needs to come out, or that needs to come out, and that's the story that I'm delivering, and that's the story I'm giving, and I'm doing it for all of those you guys that, you know, that enjoy my videos or the stories that I'm telling that really aren't stories, by the way. But the story that I'm telling, that I'm getting out of this Voynich manuscript, to me, it's the second greatest story ever told, truly. The passion and everything that these Jewish people have uh, to protect what they deem very dear and historic. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then to prove that they go from one place to the next, to the next, to the next, and have validation with every stop I've gone through in the map so far. Now I can't wait for Galatia. That one, there's really nothing for, there's really nothing for a pinpointed reference. There's no pictures or anything like that. Go to the 6-page folio and look at the map. From the Lima, where the Lima Bridge goes over, that's Galatia. But that diamond-shaped area at the end of Galatia is Santiago de Compostela. That is that's not the Colosseum. That is the church where St. James is buried. And then from there, it goes to Cape Finisterre. And then off of that, there's the hiding place. Now, the other parts of it, I have no idea what they are. I'm thinking that the center one might be, I'm thinking that the center of the map might be where they're from. Although they were in the community of Navarre, they weren't from Navarre. They were from Tudela. They were from Tudela, which is autonomous Navarre, you know, which is a community in Navarre. And I believe that the reason that they put Navarre down is because that was a major, you know, landmark, the castle, you know, of Navarre. And yeah, that's my thing. So I think the center might be Tudela, where they're at, or the one right above Navarre could be Tudela. I won't know until I do it, and I promise this entire map will get done. I promise. And the reason I started at Navarre, maybe it's not. The reason I started at Navarre is because at the very beginning, when I decoded that little strip on the side, which you'll see if you look on the map I got up here of Ponte Lima and the amphitheater and all that, right off to the side, there's that strip of writing. That's where they said that 15 men went through the dredges and, you know, they gave us the information of what they were doing. But they said that they started from their community, that they started from Navarre, basically, because taxes weren't being, no matter what money they offered the king, it wasn't good enough. And they got fearful that they were going to lose everything that their religion has been based on for thousands of years. Thousands of years. You're talking back in the Moses times, if they're really hiding the Ark of the Covenant that holds the Ten Commandments. Okay? And although they say that this ark is supposed to be in Africa, I think, Ethiopia. I think it's in a church in Ethiopia, they said, that no one's ever seen it. No one's ever seen it. But somebody did document, who was his name? Benjamin, he was a very, very well-known medieval Jewish scholar, mathematician, and all that. He's very popular. Just look up Benjamin Jewish scholar and they'll give it to where he's from. He was from Tudela, but he said that during his journeys in France, he saw the mercy seat and it was stained with blood. Now, he documented this, and they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't say that if it wasn't true, if he didn't see the mercy seat. Now, because he was Jewish, he may have knew where it was. They may have had it in France at that time, you know. But he documented in one of his writings that he saw the mercy seat and it was stained with blood. What he meant by that, I don't know. But there's all these things about the Ark of the Covenant and all these Jewish people settling in some of these oldest, Alfama and Tudela, some of the oldest Jewish colonies for thousands of years, you know. So, you know, who are we to say that it's not real? My heart tells me it is. My heart tells me it is. That they started a journey to hide the Ark of the Covenant and their relics, their scriptures, their scrolls, and all of this, because they did not want any of that to get confiscated. And they said that men would come after them in greed. And we all know that, gosh, whatever. You know, I would be afraid to touch it. I wouldn't want nothing to do with it because I would be fearful of what God would do to me if I had the bad thought of maybe I wanted money out of this. That's why I won't take any money for figuring out the Voynich manuscript or anything like that, because I don't want nothing. I don't want fame and notoriety for that reason. I want, if I get any recognition at all, I want it because of my intelligence or because of my capabilities of doing something that most couldn't do. I don't want no money out of it, because then it would be almost like me selling my soul, because I so dearly believe that this story that I'm pulling out is the God's honest truth. And if it is, or no, I said, and because it is, I shall say, one day the Ark of the Covenant will be found. Maybe it's time. Maybe during this day and these tribulations that this world is going through and undergoing now, with these major rivers drying up, with everything happening the way that it is, maybe it's time for it to go home and it needs to be found. And over the years, the coordinates and everything from the Jewish people got lost. You know, when they lost the book, it got lost. You know, I don't know how they lost the book, but their heritage is in that book. You know, and when they lost the book, they lost the way. Maybe it's already been discovered. Maybe they went back and got it, because on the wheel page, when I get to the wheel page, Ian says that I will hide it until we return to retrieve it. Maybe they already retrieved it. But the wheel page also says, which is another interesting fact, guys, listen. The wheel page also says that they loosed 156 passages from the book and left them in the cave. Okay? This is a cave that I think I know. I think I know the cave. They're giving me the coordinates to the cave. You know, on the map page, if you look down at the very bottom and down, if you're looking at the map page, down at the very bottom, on the left-hand side, there is a compass-like drawn. the first word when I started to decode that come out is to measure. And I'm like, okay, I don't even want to get into that right now because I need the story before I get there. You know what I mean? So I didn't really dig too deep in that. But I think that there's coordinates in there that will lead me to the cave because it says that you need to go to the access point, which is the cave. And they loosed 156 passages and put them in the holm oak. Okay? I'm not for sure what the holm oak has to do with anything. It could be the fact that it's I think it's a religious symbol for the, biblically, the holm oak has something to do. I really need to do more research on that. See, I haven't gotten that far, so I don't really know. I don't know about that. But I'm taking each section of the map as I go. Maybe when I get to Cape Finisterre, the next one is a different portion of Cape Finisterre, or maybe it's a different place or a different thing altogether, giving me the final information that we need. And trust me, as I find out, you're going to find out with me. Okay? That fly, check that fly out. I heard it buzzing by my ear. But I want you to just go through and, when you get a chance, look at the entire map, piece it together, and look at their dredges and their journey that they're going through, because this is an amazing story. And all the information that I'm coming up with and the pictures to prove my point and to show you, I believe without a shadow of a doubt that the one that gets me the most, that gives me the goosebumps, is the fact that Vienna Du Costello and the ancient cylindrical buildings, and then reading that they hid things inside the blackened centers or in the centers blacked out. And then I lighten them up, and what do I find? Coordinates. I mean, come on. I know what I'm talking about. So stick with me. And this journey we're going to go on together is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get, well, I kind of can wait to get to Galatia, because Galatia is going to do a lot of decoding. It's going to take a while to do that because, as I said, there's no landmarks there for me to visually give you, like I've been doing, with Alphama, the candle for Alphama, because it's called Hot Fountains, and the buildings and the bridge and all that. There's really nothing visual in Galatia. So it's just all writing. So that's a story that I'm going to have to prove it's Galatia by, decoding it and finding out in Galatia itself. But then it goes to Santiago de Compostela, and then it goes to Cape Finisterre. Because once they got to Santiago, they said they headed to the ancient city to the west, which is another Celtic city that's in Cape Finisterre. And where they went from there, I don't know yet, but we will find out together. So guys, I'm going to get back to work, and I'm going to work on page 2 so I can get that taken care of, so you can follow the story from page 2 and go on. And I've decoded up to page 4. And then it told me that the secret is hidden in the wheel. And then I went and I decoded the wheel page. Okay, some people know it as the alphabet page. I went and I decoded the wheel page because I was very familiar with that wheel page. That's where I discovered their alphabet, was on the wheel page. So when you get to the wheel page, the story that will unfold, I swear, you are just going to be blown away. And there's so much historical validation in that. But as we go, I'm still doing the map. As I said, it'd be every other one. Although I didn't hold up to my own and do page 2 before I did this one. I'm also getting ready to go to Missouri to see my kids too. I haven't seen my children in a while, and all my grandchildren, so I'm getting ready to go to Missouri and go see them. So that's going to be a little break. I am going to bring my computer because I'm going to be gone a month, and I'm not going to make you guys wait a month. Uh, I'll just sneak away and find some quality time where I can, I can, do a video for you. And then of course when they go to bed, if, I can just pass a few hours by doing some more decoding and getting this all set up for you. But I bless you guys. I wish you guys the greatest, greatest peaceful moments. I really do. It's so hard for me to find peace lately, but when I'm in this book, I find it. Especially after just losing my mom and dad so close apart. And, my mind just hasn't really had a chance to grasp completely what was going on. But God's given me the ability to get lost in here. And the story that I'm bringing out for all of us to share is, I hope, as inspirational for you as it is for me. Truly, truly do. So, until my next video, you guys be very safe and positive, full of hope. I sound like a flower child, don't I? There's that fly. I think that's what I'm going to have to do when I go off here. I'm going to definitely have to hit that thing. Anyway, you be good, be safe, and until next time, guys, I love you, and keep positive, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.